Okay, hello, I'm Joe, and this is English Premier League Weekly. Subscribe to this channel to make sure you never miss a live stream again. On this week's show, we look back at this week's action so far, including Fulham Spurs, West Brom Everton, and Man City Wolves. Man City beating Wolves 4-1 there. Sheffield United's 1-0 win at home to Villa. We've got Fantasy Premier League Kings of the Game Week so far, and we're going to warm up for the big game later with a little Liverpool-Chelsea quiz. Also, if you're watching and you've got any suggestions, comment in the live chat and make sure you tweet us at EPLW Pod. Alongside me today, we've got Roz and Mus, the regulars, and special guest, Tom. How are we doing, chaps? Why don't you introduce yourselves and tell our viewers one thing you can't wait to talk about on this episode of EPLW. Mus.
Yeah, evening all. I'm Mus. I'm a Arsenal season ticket holder. I'm really looking forward to talking about Man City.
Okay, Roz.
Hi, I'm Ross, and what am I looking forward to talk about? Let's go for the absolute thriller that was Man United Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, which was just, thriller minute.
Okay, we'll try and get that in. And special guest, Tom. How you doing?
Evening, lovely to be with you. I'm Tom. I'm a Crystal Palace fan. Ross has stolen my thunder there by talking about my favourite subject. So how about should Roy Hodgson stay at Selhurst Park for another year?
Oh, interesting. We'll definitely have to talk about the Palace Man United game then. Okay, guys, before we go any further, I have some massive news. We have our first Patreon subscriber. Okay, let's stop that. Right. Thank you very much to Andrew. I don't know if you can see the sign behind me. It says, "We love you, Andrew. We do. We love you, Andrew. We do. We love you, Andrew. We do. Oh, Andrew.
We love you.
Nice one, Miss. Right, let's turn that speaker off. Right. Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Andrew's now supporting the growth of our channel as a benefit. He gets exclusive features, including Patreon-only content and programming suggestions. He's already wielded his axe as well, and he's asked us to do a Man United Premier League all-time 11. So join us next Wednesday for that. And if you want to support us like Andrew does, be like Andrew, then just head to patreon.com/Joe Carter EPLW. Okay, breathe, everyone. Let's talk about some football, shall we? And first up, we're going to talk about Fulham Spurs. Now, Mus, you are watching the end of this game. Can you talk us through what's going on there?
Yep, so Spurs are making a change. Ndombele's coming off. Ndombele's coming off for Eric Lamela. Spurs are still 1-0 up from a first half goal. Well, it was given as an own goal, but Dele Alli flicked it towards the goal from a Son cross, and I think it was Tosin. I may have mispronounced that, but Tosin knocked it into his own net inadvertently. Spurs largely in control, Fulham putting a bit of pressure, but second half's been largely uneventful.
Okay, and you're going to keep us across that. Let us know if anything happens, and let us know when it's full time as well. And Roz is watching the other game that is currently going on, West Brom Everton. Roz, what's going on there?
So same scoreline, got 1-0. It's to Everton. They actually undid West Brom with the set piece, Sigurdsson cross with Richarlison header. West Brom started off really well. Absolute worldie of a save in the first minute from Jordan Pickford. He's in the form of his life, I reckon, at the moment. Soft shout for a penalty. The animal was brought down for Holgate. Besides that, not a whole lot happening, but West Brom really going for it. They need it, don't they?
Yeah, and just like Mus, you are going to keep us across that one. If anything happens, give us a shout, and also let us know when full time comes. Talking of West Brom Everton, Tom, I just want to bring you in quickly on this one. Is it too late for West Brom to mount a survival challenge now? Is it over? Are they going down?
I think so. If you'd asked me that question when Big Sam first came in, I would have backed him, actually. Experience with us as a Crystal Palace fan, he dragged us out of the trouble, and we survived comfortably under him. But I think he's just not got the players of the quality that he's used to, and he hasn't been able to buy the quality of players in the transfer window that he'd have liked. So I can't see it. They're just too far behind now.
Yeah, fair point.
Let's jump
Yeah,
on that. Just to sum that up, it was 70th minute, and brought on Robert Snodgrass. I mean, it's not what you want if you're a goal down. They've got 2 strikers out on loan in Charlie Austin, proven Premier League goal scorer, is at QPR. They've also got Ken Zohore on loan at some club from South London.
Is that Kenneth Zohore?
You know, and he's really juggling the squad. The hardest job he's had yet. And it might prove to be his first ever relegation.
The question is, will he quit before he's relegated to keep his never been relegated?
I would. I'd be shameless.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let that time go forward.
It's funny. The question I was just going to ask Ros actually is, do you reckon, well, you've kind of covered it there, but do you reckon he'll stay with them if they go to the Championship and try and fight his way back up?
Well, I mean, he was with West Ham in the Championship, wasn't he? I don't think he would necessarily say the Championship's below him. In fact, I think it actually really suits him. It's hard to say. You can tell he's a man who loves football. He was out of the game for far too long, he was saying. I'm really missing it. So I'm sure he'll be in management next season. It's whether he's with the Baggies or not. That's the question.
Cool. And before we move on, Ros, there's been a comment already in the live chat from Jack saying, I've been looking forward to this all week. Why is Ros wearing a Blackburn shirt?
Green. It's definitely green.
Yeah.
We've actually got Blackburn next on Saturday. So if Jack wants to join the chat on Saturday morning, I'll be buzzed for that one.
Maybe we could do a Championship special. But for now, this is a Premier League show and we're going to keep it Premier League as we move on. West Brom Everton then. One last question. Mus, I'll come to you. I know you're not really watching this game, but it's more sort of a general thing. Are Everton... What's a good season for Everton? I know we've covered this once or twice, and we do like to ask this question. What represents a good finish for Everton this season?
I think if they could just rise above their usual 6th, 7th position, I think that's kind of colloquially referred to as the Everton Cup. Finishing 6th or 7th. Anything above that, I think represents an improvement on their on expectations, and that would be a good season.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the table as it stands, they are 7th, joint on points with Liverpool. If they do hold out and win this game against West Brom, they'll jump into 4th place. And, not like they're going to, they'll jump into 4th place on merit as well. No teams below them significantly having games in hand. So we'll keep a keen watchful eye on that battle for 4th place.
I have to say, I think that they, as I understand from my memory, they don't have European football this year, and there's definitely a benefit from just having 38 games and the cups only to focus on, and maybe they've benefited from that.
Yeah, good shout. Kind of like Leicester, really, like Leicester did when they won the league, wasn't it? They didn't have any European commitments, and they just sort of focused week on week. Anyway, let's move on to Man City Wolves, which took place on Tuesday night. Man City beating Wolves 4-1 at the Etihad. And Tom, Man City just find ways to win, don't they?
Beautiful or not beautiful, they always win, and you can't really see it coming to an end. I mean, Man United last night weren't strong, and you expect them to go and beat them, and then everyone beyond that is probably weaker again. So, yeah, they've wrapped up the league, and it's more a question of whether they take the quadruple rather than win the league, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Mus, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think it's... I want to avoid saying it's getting boring, but they are just dominating games, and it was quite striking in the first half that whenever Wolves eventually got to touch the ball, they were outnumbered they were just instantly outnumbered, and so Man City have this amazing knack of, whether it's in attack or defense, but appearing to have more players than the opposition, just by virtue of how quickly they're able to get players up in support of the attack, but also off the ball, whether it's Rodri or Bernardo or Mahrez, they all track back instantly. And then they were sloppy at times and they gave the ball away, but Wolves just weren't able to hold on to it because within a pass or two, City had, regained possession. Yeah,
and they can score goals from every position on the pitch, as we've seen over the last few weeks. Most of their defenders, most of their midfielders, and you know, without Aguero and De Bruyne for large parts of this run as well. They've just been fantastic, haven't they, Ros? On that sort of length of the run and stuff, Guardiola was quoted after the match saying, "We've been through hell," referring to the English winter football schedule, and we've done something incredible. Ros, I know you've always got something to say about Man City and their fortunes and stuff like that. Have they really been through hell? Have they done something incredible?
I liked the timing of it, which was just before the Manchester derby. If you say that we've been through hell, it kind of suggests that the next one up is actually quite an easy one. No, I mean, you know how big managers like to complain about the fixture build-up. Of course, it's a problem, but of course, every club goes through the same. So, if anyone's well-equipped for an English football winter, it's definitely Pep Guardiola with that Man City side, where pretty much every world-class player can play just one game a week. But no, I do like it when sort of big managers sort of throw that in there, just to sort of shut up, do your job. Yeah. Easier than most.
To be fair though, like, you know, if you put it this way, Catalan Pep Guardiola gets through hellish English winter with a bit of football having to be played on top. It's kind of fair enough, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of all the clubs, he could have moved to London with Arsenal a few years ago. Why did you pick Manchester? No.
There you go. Right there, he could have been managing Palace, couldn't he, Tom, right now? And talking of Palace, let's move on quickly to talk about Palace's, well, what would you call it, Tom? A defensive masterclass against Man United, the 0-0?
So I've done a bit of reading before this, and we actually had 8 shots last night. So we'd only had 3 against Brighton and 3 against Fulham. So this was a major upturn in excitement for us as Palace fans.
I was going to say, I was doing a bit of reading during the game because it was so dull.
Yeah, it's a good chance to catch up on your book, isn't it, when Palace are playing, I guess. Ros, did you watch that game last night? What did you make of Man United's performance? Insipid is the word I'd use.
Depends what you mean by watch. It wasn't great, was it? Clueless, tired, just out of ideas, really. Leaderless, I think, is the main one that I took from it. You had Maguire and Rashford kind of having a bit of a rift. I was saying to a Man United fan last night, actually, that it's just so clear that when Bruno Fernandes doesn't play, there aren't enough consistent players on their game to kind of lift it. Instead, sometimes Rashford does it, particularly in Europe. But actually, when you're looking for that kind of star man to just actually grab a game by the horns, it's certainly not Captain Maguire. It's not Pogba, who's too busy playing with his agent. Cavani maybe rushed back. I think they really needed Cavani, and I don't think he looked fit. I think it was Solskjaer going, right, we're never going to win this on the counter-attack with Palace's back 8. But yeah, not great. They just and Bruno Fernandes has played 40 out of 42 games this season. You know, it shows how reliant they are on him, and he can't always have the answers. He looked knackered, and they just looked a bit clueless by the end.
I think you have to question the manager a bit as well, because that was really a tame performance. There was no real effort to even score a goal. And would a Guardiola, a Klopp, a Mourinho accept that? They really wouldn't have. And something that Gary Neville said was that they're going to get a rocket at half time and then they'll come out firing. And if anything, they got worse in the second half. So I think you have to ask the manager some questions with that performance.
I've got a theory about sort of modern football where actually it's becoming, as a board and as owners, less about the glory of a club and what the fans want, and actually about it as a financial structure. And if you're a big group like the American group that own Liverpool, they can actually sort of pump money into it and win Champions Leagues, win leagues and stuff. For clubs like Chelsea and Manchester United, if they're going through a sort of business period where they kind of have to keep the revenue going, or just sort of have an okay season, they tend to be turning to ex-players, and they tend to be turning to players that they don't think the fans are actually going to turn on. Whereas it always used to be either the fans turn on someone or the board turn on someone. Now they're picking these people who I don't think, Frank Lampard wasn't the best person for the Chelsea job. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't the best person for the Man United job. There's nothing on their managerial CV which suggests that they should be managing a top European side. The successes they have are because they have world-class players.
And I guess that's the commercial kind of side of it, is having that figurehead who's fresh in the memory of the fans being the manager. Yeah. Okay, we'll park the Palace Man U chat there for a second. Mus, have you got an update on the Fulham Spurs game there for us?
Yeah, so the score's still the same. It's still 1-0 to Spurs, but Spurs are looking dangerous on the counter-attack. Harry Kane, Tom Ross, who triple captained him, will be pained to hear Mr. One-on-one a couple of minutes ago.
Lovely. And Roz, have you got any update on the West Brom Everton for us, or is it just, are they sitting on that 1-0?
You know what? Everton have got, 9 men behind the ball. West Brom kicking it long, throwing everything at it. But, I mean, it's 89th minute, but it's looking very much like an Everton win, I think. Good old Italian defending from Ancelotti there.
Great. Yeah, remember, if you're watching this and you're enjoying what you're seeing, then feel free to subscribe to the channel so you know when we're going live every time, you don't miss a video, and allow notifications as well to make sure you do that. Also, tweet us at EPLW Pod, and you can help us out on Patreon like Andrew. You might even get yourself a little sign like this. Andrew's our first patron on Patreon, so thank you so much, Andrew. Patreon.com/Joe Carter EPLW. Okay, let's get on then to Sheffield United Villa. Who saw this one then? Who watched this game? Mus, you had this one. So what happened there? Sheffield United won 1-0, didn't they? Tell us why. What happened?
Yeah. Well, I think Aston Villa had a really poor first half in particular. I think they really missed Grealish. It was more apparent than their previous game, but they really lacked that creativity. And I think it's just a defensive lapse and good movement from McGoldrick. Really well taken chance. And they deservedly went 1-0 up. And then that old cliche about it being more difficult to break down a team playing with 10 men. There was that VAR controversy around the sending off of Jagielka. But after that, they really dug in. And Aston Villa couldn't find a way through.
Yeah, interesting that one. Jagielka, you speak of Jagielka, actually. Last night, Roz and I were joined by Ronan, and we did our Everton all-time Premier League 11. Jagielka popped up in the conversation there, and worth checking out that video. So it's just on the channel. It's just, Everton's all-time Premier League 11. Roz, have you got anything else to add on that game?
Only actually the Jagielka red card, which people said was controversial. I thought the guy had a lot of space to run into. Kind of cleaned him out. I thought it wasn't actually that controversial. I thought it was straight red. I'd be interested. I mean, I didn't watch it live. I just saw the highlights. What do you think, Mus?
I agree with you on balance. I do think, I think it was El Ghazi, wasn't it? He was through. I think he was going to have a goal scoring opportunity, so it was a red card. There are a lot of pundits talking about the speed of the recovering Sheffield United defenders. Oh, this guy's really quick. He would have definitely, but that's all hypothetical. I think he was through, and it was a deserved red card. The ref went to the screen and then overturned his initial decision to award the yellow card.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there we have it. I mean, Tom, surely if we're counting West Brom out of survival, then surely this is just too little, too late for Sheffield United.
Yeah, dangerous team for anyone to play now because they've got nothing to lose. And so often you do see that those kind of teams do go and pick up some results. They've overhauled Derby's record at least, which is nice news for them.
Oh, we've got a goal. Offside. Oh, right. Talk us through what happened, Ross. Sorry, channeling your Paul Merson there. Love it.
Everything at it. I feel like Chris Kamara right now. West Brom throwing everything at it. Ball into the box. Diagna volleys it in. It kind of drops faithfully for him, I think. Let's see what's happening. So disorganised for Everton. Ball into the box. Diana sort of smashes it in. I think he's on. This will go to VAR. I'll keep you updated when it happens. It'll probably take about 10 minutes, as it does in the modern game. Smashes it in, and I think, oh, his big toes offside. His big toes offside. No, get ruled out. Get ruled out.
Oh,
Gutting for West Brom.
thank you, Paul
Sorry,
Merson.
No problem.
Tom, where were we?
Was I? Well, one thing I'll be really interested to see with Villa is whether they suffer from a sort of similar syndrome to us, which is the Zaha effect. As soon as he goes, you just can't win a match because they're sort of a bit of a one-man team. So it'd be interesting to see that. But I think they're vulnerable now, but clearly very safe. But I suspect they will move down the league whilst he's injured.
While we've got you on that, Tom, actually, and while we've got the honour and the opportunity to have a Palace fan on the show, Zaha, where's he going in the summer then? Surely he's going. Surely it's time for him to go. Do everyone a favour.
I think from a Palace fan's point of view, he's done so much for us. You could never have anything against him for deciding to leave. And I think he does want to, but he wants to do it in a respectful manner, which we all respect as fans. But they have such a high valuation on him, and the market is quite dead. So he could end up staying against his will. So it'll be very interesting.
Talking of will,
But
I think Roz is losing the will here. Like, do you want to come in there, Roz? It's making me laugh, your reaction there.
I'm sorry. I get it. It must be hard to have a guy like that as your talisman, right? He tries to leave every single transfer window. The couple of weeks after the transfer deadline day, he sulks. Why do you want him to stay, apart from the fact that you can't win a match without?
Well, you just
when you think of sort of club.
I think you summarised it beautifully there. We can't win a match without him.
It's
unless it's against Brighton, it seems.
But he doesn't respect the fans. He's not like, I don't associate him as a sort of, you say he's done so much for you because he's sort of been above the level of Crystal Palace, but it didn't work out well for him at Man United. He sort of always sits there, sort of throwing his toys out the pram in the transfer window. And he wants, Arsenal have only offered 80 million for me and Spurs won't accept it and all that kind of stuff. I don't think he's actually that good, I have to say. Like, he's good, and he looks very good in the Crystal Palace team. I don't think he'd do bits for Arsenal. He's a bit of a, what's the word for it? He's a lot. You can't have any passengers in the modern game, and it's fine to have a passenger, I guess, if he's clearly your best player and he's kind of taking people on because the rest of your squad are garbage. But it's not. I don't think he'd fit into a big side because he's got too much of an ego.
I think you may well be right about the big side issue, because if he did go to a big side, they would tell him what to do more than the free role he's given at our club. So in that respect, I suspect he would struggle potentially for that reason. And that might well be the reason why the big clubs haven't come in. But when he's given the opportunity that we give him, the difference is huge. We are relegation candidates every single season without him, to instead we're comfortably in mid-table every year.
Do you not think it would set Palace free? Do you not think it would kind of be good for the players, the rest of the squad and the team as a whole, to just move him out of the club for whatever reason? I've seen it as an Arsenal fan with Arteta. He's just moved out the toxic kind of players. And I think while Zaha is a talisman and he's a great player for you guys, I just feel like it's a bit like Sanchez at Arsenal. When Sanchez was trying to engineer that move constantly for a whole season, he sulked himself into poor form. And I don't know. I feel like it would be better for everyone if Zaha moved on. Sorry, Tom. Mus, you wanted to say something there. What was it you wanted to? Did you want to?
Yeah.
Mention?
So just quickly, so the Spurs game was finished. It's 1-0.
Okay.
Victory for Spurs.
I'm not.
Yeah. Okay.
On Zaha though, I wanted to say that I think the fact that he didn't have the most successful spell at Man United isn't necessarily the be all and end all, and that's kind of the final word on what he'd be like at a top club now. I think we've seen with Salah and De Bruyne that people do make more of their second opportunities. And Arsenal were close to buying him by all accounts, but opted for Nicola Pepe in the end. And that hasn't necessarily gone particularly well for them. So, yeah, I guess I think he would do all right at our club. That he's one of the best players outside the top 6. And I think he would add value if, freed from defensive responsibilities and given a free role up top at one of the top clubs. He'd definitely play well.
How many goals does he get a season? Double figures?
I think he's probably averaging about 10 a season now.
10 a season, if that. I mean, that's being kind. It doesn't really feel like he's ever in the conversation for... I mean, is he actually that good?
But Roz, like incest, it's all relative, right? If he scores 10 a season for a club that only scores 25 a season, that's 45% of their goals. So.
When you're talking about a player that's the difference between staying up or getting relegated, then he's valuable.
Well, see, Joe put it before, where it's sort of you can get rid of one man and maybe sign 3 new players and become more of a complete squad. If I were a Palace fan, which is a horrifying
away from reality,
a horrifying prospect, I just can't even get my head around it. But if I were, then I would worship someone like Gary Cahill, or I think he's a much more important player, but doesn't demand any of the kind of worship that Zaha gets. He's I fucking hate Bill Zaha. Sorry.
Right. Do you know what? I'm sorry, Tommy. I'd love to give you I'd love to give you a chance to come back to that, but we've got to move things on as always on EPLW. A great chat though. Perhaps we could do a special with you, Tom. We could get you on to do some sort of Palace special or Zaha special in the future. For now though, I'm going to give you the results so far in this game week. On Monday night, Everton beat Southampton 1-0. Tuesday night, Man City beat Wolves 4-1. Last night, Burnley and Leicester drew 1-1. Sheffield United 1, Villa 0. Palace and Man United drew 0-0. And today, full time at Craven Cottage, Tottenham Hotspur have won there 1-0. And West Brom have lost 1-0 to Everton. Now it's time to look ahead to the big game tonight, which kicks off in just under 20 minutes. It's Liverpool-Chelsea. Before we do that, though, Roz is going to give us a very quick rundown of the Fantasy Premier League Kings of the Game Week.
So we need to get one of those sort of radio samples, right?
We need to get a jingle for that, don't we? We could all just say it together, but that's not going to work because it's Zoom.
Yeah. A very few goals actually. In this half of the game week, but it was a double game week. But this seems relatively low. You've got Gareth Bale at the top with 21 points. I saw someone actually in the country manage to triple captain him, which is brave to say the least, but reaping the rewards. Morris scored last night on 17. You've got Gator, Crystal Palace's goalkeeper, Tom will be able to help me out, who actually did make a very good save yesterday. He's the keeper of the week. He got 16 points across both games. And last of all, let's go for Gabriel Jesus. Got a goal yesterday to save Man City's bacon. He got 14 points. Jesus saves. Who knew?
Fair play. Right. Okay. So the team news is out for Liverpool-Chelsea. Alisson's in goal for Liverpool. A back four from right to left. Alexander-Arnold, Fabinho, Kabak and Robertson. So Fabinho having his go at centre-back this time. 3 centre-mids, Thiago, Wijnaldum and Jones. Up front, it's SFM, Salah, Firmino and Mane. And Chelsea's lineup is like this. They're playing a 3-4-2-1, supposedly. Mendy in goal, Azpilicueta, Christensen and Rudiger, the back three. Then Reece James on the right, Kante and Jorginho sitting in the centre-mid positions. Chilwell on the left wing-back. Then Ziyech and Mount, both kind of playing in a floating 10 role behind Timo Werner. That's our teams for tonight. Anyone got anything to say about that?
Gutted. I've got Marcus Alonso in my fantasy team.
Mate, welcome to my world. I'm going to be so embarrassed on Fantasy Friday this week because my team has been terrible. I think I probably got lower points score this week than I did last week. And this is a double game week.
Double game week.
Hell. There you go.
Yeah.
What a lineup, what a game. And guys, we've got a very quick minute. I want a quick prediction from all of you for tonight's game. Liverpool-Chelsea at Anfield. We've had the lineups. Roz, Give me a scoreline and man of the match.
So, yeah, 2-1 Chelsea, man of the match, Timo Werner.
Okay, lovely. Mus?
0-0 Snorefest, man of the match, Fabinho.
And Tom?
I'll go 1-1 Hudson-Odoi.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so we got 3 differing predictions there. That brings us to the end of this episode of EPLW. What a fantastic episode it's been. We've talked about all sorts. We've mentioned some quite controversial subjects. We've had some fun. We've had some bants. And now we're all going to go and enjoy the Liverpool-Chelsea game, aren't we? Mus, you look like you're about to say something.
I just want to say great debut from Tom. He's been in the reserves for a while, but he stepped up.
Yeah, nice one, Tom.
Okay,
Well played, mate.
Can I just leave you with this? I want to know whether Roz has ever had Wilfried Zaha in his fantasy team.
No, I've never had a Leeds player. I've never had a West Ham player, and I've never had a Crystal Palace player.
Okay, well,
and I used quite well despite that.
On that basis, I respect your view.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for joining me this week on EPLW. We'll see you tomorrow morning for Fantasy Friday, Roz and myself. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe to the channel, allow notifications so you never miss a show. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Cheers, guys. See you later.
Goodbye.